a couple of things in regard to this case. The
Hmm.
first thing is about the age of the girl. The girl may not be three. She
Okay.
may be four or she may be four and a half. And I will explain it why it is the case. So in
Okay.
Afghanistan, unfortunately, majority of women, like maybe 80%, 90% of women, still they give birth to children at home. So it means that children, they do not have birth certificates.
Right.
Yeah, so the process, everything takes part at home.
So by the time that they go to register their child, they have to go by
No, they do
memory
not
and
have to. They do not do that.
okay.
They do not do that. It is completely different than the Western society. How many children you have, no one knows about it, you know?
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
That is your private business.
So by the
Uh,
time that when she comes to, over here to Texas, she has to register. Uh,
yeah, then they can provide with an age. Like I will give you my example. I had to ask my parents about the exact date because I had to come up with my birthday.
right.
Yeah, so I was asking my mom, so can you recall that? And she would be thinking, oh, I think it was the year when the Russians came. And then after like 4 years, I gave birth to that one. And after maybe 5, 6 years, I gave birth to you.
Yeah, I
And
understand.
yeah, so they
So
do
there
not
might
have
be
like,
yeah. So we won't be so dead set on the age of three. It's gonna. I understand.
it
There'll be
can
a
be
bit of a
four, it
buffer.
can be four and a half. And I will just tell you something funny. Like in my Facebook friend book, in my Facebook friends list, like 500 of my friends, they are celebrating the birthday on the 1st of January.
Right.
So the 1st of January is a busy day for me because I have to send everyone
Birthday
a
gifts. That's
happy,
just when they decided their birthday was.
yeah,
They don't
because that
decide.
is
Yeah.
1st of January is a date, an easy date, easy to choose.
Easy to remember. Yeah. That's actually
Yeah,
kind of
or
nice.
maybe
That
to
comes in pretty
remember.
handy later on in life, or at certain
Yeah,
times in life, it comes in handy.
so you
Hmm.
can Google it as well, like Afghans celebrate birthday on 1st of January. You can Google it, and there would be like some articles from the New York Times, from Washington Times, or
So
whatever.
how does that translate? So when you try to immigrate, does it
Yeah.
then become a problem for immigration?
No, no. Because
Okay.
whenever I'm taking my NIC, which is the National Identification Card, back at my home, then I have to come up with a date,
Hmm.
And because that is normal, they will not ask me for my birth certificate because they know the realities of the country that 90 ninety
Yes.
five percent of people, they do not have birth certificates.
Yeah.
So they will write the date. Okay, I mean, this date. Yeah.
So, as you just heard Izat speaking to AB, I met Izat on Jewels of Thought 2 days ago. He came on panel and he knows Lena's father's family. They came from Afghanistan in 2019, and Izat came to America in 2013. It's my understanding that Izat and Lena's father have played cricket together and have had meetings. So basically, when they came here to America, they what they do is they all get together and they have their own little meetings, and all of the men get together, so they do know each other. Izat does not know Lena. He does not know Lena's mom, but he does know dad, according to Izat. He's been very helpful in helping us to understand, and this was something new to me that I was unaware of. So I've been researching about this last night and some this morning, and I wanted to share with you what I have found. So it appears that Lena is probably not 3 years old. She's listed as 3 years old. Her weight is 55 pounds. Her height is 4 feet tall. I personally believe that Lena is in between 5 and 6 years old. That is just my opinion based on what I see with her. But Izat believes maybe 4.5. So we'll say anywhere from 4 to 6. I would say would be a proper estimate of her age. Now I'm going to read this to you, okay? And I hope that this will bring some clarity to everybody. I'll be the first to admit I did not know this. There's a lot of things that I'm unaware of. I've actually learned several things over the last few days where Lena is concerned. Now, Lena came to America as a refugee with her mom and dad in 2019 from Afghanistan. They speak the language Pashto. Pashto. Okay. That is derived from Hebrew. Okay. So I did find an article. It's 20 years old, but it explains exactly what Izat was trying to explain to AB. I'm going to read it to you, and hopefully everybody that's been leaving me comments about Lena's age will get a better understanding, and we can learn together throughout this process. I want to also say, last night I was watching the chat, and it seems as though our knowledge of things might be a little skewed, and we're all welcome to our opinions, but we're all going to learn together throughout this case. I truly believe hopefully it ends soon with a very favorable outcome, but heaven forbid it doesn't. We need to learn together, you guys, and we need to understand for Lena, in order to cover this case and in order to understand her and her family, we're going to have to ask hard questions. And sometimes people might disagree, and that's fine. But let's try to just come together and learn together. This is not your typical situation. This is an Afghani refugee child. Okay, she is not from America. Her family does not speak English. They speak they do not even speak Arabic. Now, this is also a misconception. Pashto is not the same as Arabic. The Arabic alphabet has 22 characters. Pashto has 44 characters, okay? So while they may understand the written language, they speak differently, okay? So the title of this is Why Afghans Don't Know Their Ages and Why They Often Use Only One Name. Part 3 of our series of diaries from Kabul, a web exclusive by Eve Conant. Ask Afghans how old they are, and most will scratch their heads and look to their friends for guidance. Newsweek's house here in Kabul is something of an anomaly because most of our staff here say they do know their ages, or do they? Take our driver, Akbar, who wears dark, round sunglasses even at night, was born in 1969 and is 30 years old. But how does that explain that one of our stringers in Kabul was born in 1971 and is also 30 years old? Things are different here, says Akbar, twisting around from his driver's seat. That's for sure. When I interview local residents, I've learned to ask them how old they think they are. A lot of time also is taken up with simply trying to agree on when certain events took place. The reason most Afghans think in terms of the Islamic solar calendar, which puts this as the year 1380, but when the Taliban took over 5 years ago, they imposed the Islamic lunar calendar, which says it's now 1422 and will be under March 15th, 2002. There are complications too. Do you celebrate birthdays? I ask Newsweek translator Saeed, who assures me he is definitely 26. Oh no, of course not, he says, smiling shyly. In fact, there are no birthdays here, just once-in-a-lifetime type events like the cradle celebration, in which Afghans invite friends and family, mostly women, to celebrate a baby's new bed. There is only one real party in your life, says Saeed. So when you grow up, there is no party until your wedding. Poor families don't even have big cradle celebrations. Actually, there is no money for parties here. Nor do people here tend to carry any formal ID with them. Saeed, who traveled from the north to work with Newsweek, has no papers with him at all and doesn't seem the slightest bit worried about it. When the communist government was here from the early 1970s to 1992, they issued documents, but most people outside of Kabul never got them. He explains as he warms himself against one of our highly prized space heaters. In Afghanistan, you don't need documents. You only need them on the first day when you're registering at school. Driver Akbar does have something official, an old driver's license complete with a photo showing his new clean-shaven face bearing a long Taliban-mandated beard, but there is no date of birth written on it. Sammy, who works as translator for colleague Melinda Liu, explains that age is simply not that important and that when asked, most Afghans will try to pass the torch on to the next person. If you ask people, many will just tell you, go ask that guy. I think he was born when I was, explains Sammy, who sits on the TV couch, huddled against the cold in his patua, thick blanket-like shawl that men wrap over their heads and shoulders. It's a patu. Another aspect of Afghan life that mystifies foreigners is why local residents prefer to use only one name. Most of the 26 million people here prefer to introduce themselves informally, with even military commanders going simply by Commander Shah or Commander Aziz, where, not like the Russians, who have 3 names they use at all times, says Saeed. We only need one name. Again, it's not as simple as it seems. You have a choice. You can choose any name, says Saeed. Saeed's full names are Saeed, meaning leader, Abdul, one who believes in God, Wadud, one who loves everyone, and Saidi, belonging to the Said tribe. His family, however, has different last names. One brother is Saeed Mahmud, another is Saeed Muratsar, and their father is Saeed Masood. This does cause some confusion among Afghans, says Saeed, but we have to have different names. There is no system. It is not necessary to know who is related to whom. People in our neighborhood already know who we are. Semantics aside, the Newsweek team is now settling into its house quite comfortably. We not only have finally acquired CNN, but also 4 wood-burning stoves to help take the chill off the air. We've learned, too, to accommodate the fact that during the day, Afghan homes and buildings are usually colder outside than out. I religiously wear 3 light coats when entering ministry buildings, and have found a hat, scarf, and gloves to be the best defense at nightly UN press conferences at the Hotel Intercontinental. Our neighbors seem to be getting accustomed to us, too. The little children race up to the door to offer shoe polishing services or to ask for money. Bakshish, mister, from all foreigners, male or female, as we drive out on our respective reporting assignments. However, we've noticed some changes in our neighborhood of Wazir Akbar Khan. One is that Russians have arrived, about 90 of them, wearing Russian Emergency Situations Ministry jackets, are here setting up a hospital in a nearby abandoned lot to reestablish an embassy in the capital. The Russian plans to establish a diplomatic presence in Kabul have triggered U.S. concerns that Moscow may lend legitimacy to a Northern Alliance government. The Bush administration does not consider the alliance as its leader, Burhanuddin Rabbani, to be a viable alternative to the Taliban and supports UN plans to form a new broad-based government. But the Russians on the ground have less political concerns. Many Afghans are still hostile toward them because of the Soviet occupation in 1979 through 89, and several Russian guards have admitted to journalists that they are terrified to be here. During the day, their base camp is ringed with Afghan men who peer at them from a distance, leaning against their bicycles along the side of the road for hours at a time. Among those waiting, though, retribution didn't seem at the top of the agenda. Many were simply young Afghans who speak Russian and are hoping for work as translators. So this here explains that Afghani people do not have birthday registration. So there is no particular age. Now, it's been said in another article that I read, which I'll also include, I'll also read that one, that they mostly pick January 1st, just like Izzat said. And I'm going to bring that up next. So this comes from the South China Morning Post, Russia and Central Asia. This here says, many people in Afghanistan do not know when they were born, so they chose January 1st for convenience. In the absence of birth certificates or official records, many Afghans have long used the seasons or historical events to help determine their age. January 1st is Samad Alwai's birthday. It's also the birthday of his wife, his 2 sons, 32 of his friends, and thousands of other Afghans, a date chosen for convenience by a generation who do not know when they were born. In the absence of birth certificates or official records, many Afghans have long used the seasons of historical events to help determine their age. But the explosion of social media networks such as Facebook, which require users to register their birthday, and the growing demand for passports and visas have forced Afghans to pick a day, any day. January 1st has become a common choice, although the date is more about practicality than parties. It seemed all Afghans had birthdays on January 1st. Samad Alawai, who is 43, said, even those who know their real birth date often choose January 1st because they do not want the hassle of converting their birthday from the solar Hijri, an Islamic calendar used only in Afghanistan and Iran. The first day of the year in Hijri usually corresponds to March 21st. When I first created my Facebook account in 2014, it was just easier to choose January 1st as my birthday from the drop-down list, Alawai said. The internet was also slow and it was difficult to convert the date to a Western calendar. Even the official identity card, or tazkira, held by most Afghans offers little official clarity with a person's age, determined based on physical appearance. My tazkira says I was 3 years old in 1365. In the Hijri calendar, 1986. That is the year my tazkira was issued. Abdul Hadi, who is now 34, said, there is no blank space for a date of birth in the Afghan tazkira. How can you remember your date of birth if you don't have one on record? Authorities are trying to change that. In recent years, Afghan hospitals in major cities have started issuing newborn babies with birth certificates, something previous generations lack. The government also plans to issue e-tazkiras, or computerized national ID cards to Afghans, which would include their date of birth if it is known, but the process has been stalled for years by political and technical problems. In the absence of official records, some educated parents resort to recording their children's birthdays on slips of paper, which are often kept in a copy of the Quran. I hope one day all Afghans have their proper date of birth so that social media doesn't have to tell them how old they are, Alawi said. So, as you can see here in this article, it explains the January 1st situation. Now, Lena is said to be 3 years old. I believe she's 5. I would say if I had to guess, she would be between 5 and 6. That's just my opinion. But I hope that this helped a little bit for you guys to understand. Please leave me comments below. I hope that this brings some clarity to why she appears to be much bigger and taller than a 3-year-old. And hopefully, wherever Lena is, she knows that there are people that care. And we're going to keep track of this story. I'm going to try to keep educating myself and educating you guys as I learn. And hopefully we'll understand a little better. Okay, guys, Merry Christmas.